Marvel Comics has decades of material to draw from new characters continually joining the iconic ranks of the MCU, with dozens of legendary heroes and sinister villains becoming fan favorites across comic lines, animation, and live action. There are several highly anticipated antagonists that avid Marvel fans want to see join the largest cinematic franchise in history. One such antagonist is that of Victor Von Doom, dictator of Latveria and the principal foe of Marvel's first family. Several theories and rumors indicate that he may actually make his debut later this year, in of course, Wakanda Forever. So stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, and let's break down why we believe Doctor Doom will be a principal player behind the scenes in Wakanda Forever. For this video, we will be assessing both the in-universe reasoning as well as the comic book origin behind the most popular Wakandan Atlantean war. We will be following why now is the perfect time to introduce Doctor Doom and how he would best fit into the current landscape, while pulling from the original source material, though it's important to note that most of this in-universe evidence is circumstantial, and we are working with what makes the most logical sense, while still being supported by everything we know as of now. Perhaps the most glaring piece of evidence of Doctor Doom is the recent announcement of the Fantastic Four reboot and the inclusion of Reed Richards in the Multiverse of Madness. Throughout the team's lifetime, there hasn't been a more iconic or well-renowned antagonist than that of Doom, and it's nigh impossible to reboot the Fantastic Four without pitting them against Doctor Doom at some point in time, especially given the lackluster reception of Doom's last on-screen iteration. While this supports that Doom will exist, it doesn't support the idea that he'll be in Wakanda forever. So for that, we point to none other than Riri Williams and her potential connection to the Latverian monarch. I also want to briefly say that we do not believe that Doctor Doom will be the antagonist in the Fantastic Four, at least not their first film, and that he likely will have a much larger role moving forward on a Kang or a Thanos level threat. But back to Ironheart. We know that Ironheart series plot synopsis has already been released and references a conflict between magic and science, and the roles of each will play in the MCU moving forward. But what does this have to do with Doom? Though we've seen magic and science independently, and we've even seen them interact, we have not seen a storyline centered around the strengths and weaknesses of each in any respective situation. But how does this pertain to Doctor Doom? Well, on Earth 616, there are several avid practitioners of sorcery, including not the least of which Doctor Strange and the sorcerers of Kamar-Taj. Likewise on the universe, there are several users of advanced science, including Tony Stark, Riri Williams, and Reed Richards himself. But none of these individuals balance the two of magic and science at the same time. Doom, however, is one of the most gifted users of both forms, being on par with some of the strongest sorcerers, as well as the most intellectually formidable tech geniuses in the MCU. If Wakanda Forever is going to lay the groundwork for this conflict between magic and science, then Marvel has the perfect opportunity to introduce Doom ahead of his conflict with the Fantastic Four. This is even before taking into account the recent news regarding Armor Wars. We know that Don Cheadle-led series will be turned into a movie rather than a series, and while many believe it's simply because the story is being condensed, there are other possibilities. A theatrical release would be warranted if major players or storylines are being set in motion in Armor Wars, and this has even led to some to speculate that Robert Downey Jr. will be returning as an AI version of Tony Stark. While this point isn't entirely relevant, it does illustrate exactly why Marvel might choose a theatrical release over a series. What if instead of Tony Stark returning, it's the first major outing for Victor Von Doom, which would inevitably call for a theatrical outing rather than being relegated to a Disney Plus original. And the plotline also seems to fit very well with Doom and his motivations. Finally, let's discuss the principal antagonist of Wakanda Forever and the ties that he just might have to Victor Von Doom and Latveria. Several rumors seem to indicate that Doom will be the puppet master behind Namor's incursion of Wakanda, manipulating events from behind the scenes in order to further his own plans. If he is engineering a war between Wakanda and Talokan, then what would he stand to gain from this? The likeliest explanation is that he wants to get his hands on Wakandan technology and perhaps his own supply of vibranium, using the war to get these weapons out into the world and into a place where they can be recovered. He can explore the wreckage left behind and scoop up whatever he wishes in order to reverse engineer Wakandan technology, or get a hold of vibranium for himself. It's currently unclear if Namor is even aware of this manipulation, and he might have been tricked or coerced into a war that he believes was his own doing. This has actually been the case before in the original source material, dating all the way back to the 2010 miniseries entitled Siege. In Siege, Dr. Doom formed his own cabal of incredibly influential individuals, extending an invitation to even T'Challa. As a respected peer and fellow national leader, Doom believed that T'Challa would be a worthy ally. Though the King of Wakanda declined Doom's invitation, insulted by his decision and clouded by his ego, Doom thrust the Atlanteans and the Wakandans to war with one another. This is initially why Shuri was handed the mantle of Black Panther to begin with, and T'Challa was so badly beaten in the attack and had to temporarily step down from the mantle. Though the exact circumstances would have to be adapted, this seems to be what we are about to see in Wakanda Forever, with Shuri assuming the mantle of the Black Panther amidst the war with Namor, and this might seem to indicate that Doom is once again at the helm of this conflict and behind the scenes. If T'Challa in the MCU was killed for insulting Doom, then it could immediately pose him as one of the greatest threats that the MCU has faced thus far, though this is unlikely how Marvel will treat the legacy of the late Chadwick Boseman. With all of that said, we believe that Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom, is in fact the puppet master behind this war with Talocan and Wakanda, and that he is manipulating it from behind the scenes in order to get his hands on Wakandan technology before he makes his big move. We also believe that Dr. Doom will be an overarching villain in the MCU, again on the level of someone like a King or a Thanos, perhaps even worse. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of this theory? Do you think that Doom will make his debut in Wakanda Forever? Or will he be pulling the strings from the shadows and we will not even see him? Since Doom's debut seems inevitable, when do you think will be his first official appearance and how soon can we expect to see him? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I will see you in the next one.